Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody, thanks again for tuning in to a pre-market breakdown with me for the morning for 30 minutes. Some good news out there. Abbott stock ABT created a 5-minute COVID-19 test, and I think Johnson & Johnson is kind of leading the way right now for a potential COVID-19 vaccine. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me, I apologize if the system echoes there for a bit. I actually have my volume on. Apologize about that. Good morning, Daniel, Dom, Daniel again, Juan, and Don. Good morning. That's a lot of D's in there to start the morning. Interesting. So good stuff. We'll take a look at ABT. We'll take a look at Johnson & Johnson. We're going to take a look at LK. We're going to look at the semiconductors, touch a little bit on the market, and we should be pretty much good to go from there. I think that's going to clear pretty much up everything that we need. We'll wait a couple minutes here till some more people stroll in. That way we don't have to repeat ourselves too much, but hopefully everybody's doing all right. In other news, I don't think... I can't really think of any other news that's really wowing us right now. And this was kind of what this is kind of what I mentioned, I think, about a week ago. I think that ultimately we've kind of reached almost worst case scenario. It seems really hard that we would get much worse than this in terms of what you're going to hear on the news. I mean, you've already heard of deaths. You've heard of infectious cases increasing. So to me, I kind of think we've heard most of the worst surrounding the situation for now. Could be wrong in that, obviously, but I just don't see things getting a whole lot worse than they already are now. Again, I could very well be wrong, and let's hope I'm wrong, honest. Or let's hope I'm right. Let's hope I'm right. Let's hope I'm not wrong. Okay. All right. So let's get started here. So we'll start with ABT. Let me change my screen over a little bit. Okay, we're going to start with ABT. So this is Abbott stocks, or not Abbott stocks, excuse me, Abbott. And they have created successfully a 5-minute COVID-19 test. And I believe the FDA approved it. The FDA may have rushed it through, given the circumstances and the situation. I think the FDA kind of did like a fast track clearing on it. But so far, the stock obviously jumped all the way to 91, and we've pulled back. So I believe what we're seeing right now is a situation where ABT spikes $10 over share overnight, and we're seeing the market use that overnight gap to sell into to take some profit on that. So I think we're getting down into more of a buying location intraday on Abbott. I would say right now I'll be watching around 78.54 would be where I would like it for maybe a dip buy, for maybe like a curl and a quick short squeeze or a quick breaking up move. We would be looking at maybe, like 83 to 83.5. So anyways, I think ABT right now is just getting sold into. We've already bounced quite a bit on ABT, right? If you look at over the past couple days or weeks, we've already bounced significantly, so we're starting to pull back. I can't say it's a buy right now. I think intraday we might get a dip buy, but other than that, I think that's about as much as we're going to get. I don't think you're going to see ABT back over 91 today. I think, if anything, it's doing what it should do, which is pull back, and then we'll see a bounce either later today, tomorrow, or in a couple days. So for those watching ABT, I would just be on, more of a dip buying mindset with that stock for right now, okay? Good morning. First time you're able to watch because you're out of work. That's not a good thing, but I'm glad you're here. So, for what it's worth. So the FDA just approved the malaria drug as a treatment. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that the one with the weird word hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine, or if that's I'm not sure, that's why I'm asking, but doesn't the malaria drug include or have that in it as well, that hydroxychloroquine stuff? I don't know for sure. We can talk on tops. I will definitely touch on the market, and I'll touch on why we're starting to get I think a big portion of why we're starting to get the question, have we bottomed in the market? Which probably, when I say it's going to sound like a no-brainer, but we'll touch on that for sure. I think I'm going to double back to that. I'm going to write that down right now. Write down your username, PWR, tops and market bottom. Okay. I wrote that down so we can double back to it, okay? Josh, welcome to the political world. One day we're right, one day we're wrong, Okay. Yeah, I didn't know about the malaria thing. I'm not sure. So, but that's good news. I think that's good news, right? So let's continue here. We'll touch on tops. We'll touch on the market in a bit. Also want to touch on J&J. I haven't had a whole lot of time to read the news, so I'm just going to give you guys for what it's worth. I think there's some news right now that J&J is kind of the leading company to potentially have a COVID-19 vaccine. Looks like they're going to be initiating phase 1 of human clinical trials or clinical studies. So it appears that Johnson & Johnson might be leading the way for COVID-19, right? So you're starting to see bullish activity on that stock. So this might be, again, another one that's worth keeping an eye on, right? I don't think I'm actually going to end up trading Johnson & Johnson, but again, given the news, this might be something interesting to follow on, that people are, again, still watching and trading, okay? Yeah, Brian, I hope to kill it today. Probably going to try to take things a little bit slow to start the morning. I can get my feet wet. Let's see. Yeah, just don't eat fish tank cleaner, and I think you'll be just fine. I don't think the doctor prescribed fish tank cleaner, but it could be wrong. Just saying. Okay, so let me touch on the semiconductors, AMD, and the reason I'm going to touch on these is simply because they have a pretty good setup. AMD is into kind of a bullish formation that I think you might see breakout today. Anyways, let me continue. NVIDIA, same scenario. I think you could see kind of a bullish pennant breakout scenario on NVIDIA. And the same thing with MU. I think you'd see kind of like a bullish pennant breaking out scenario on MU. So I think all the semiconductors, MU, AMD, let's just say MU, AMD, NVIDIA for now. I think they're all in a formation that traders are recognizing. I'm recognizing it. I think it looks good. As long as the market stays healthy today, actually trends up for once, I think these are going to be good candidates for the day. There's a little bit more to why I think they're going to be good candidates. We don't have time to cover that, but they're worth watching for right now. Do understand that they are a little high in the cycle, as in reality, they're not a buy. But if the market has a good day, I think these are going to continue higher in their channel, which should lead to a breakout. But ultimately, we have sort of entered a selling cycle on those. So it's kind of like a catch-22, what I just said. But for what it's worth, we're still going to be watching them. The market's pushing up nicely. If it continues to do this, I think, again, you're going to be seeing a great day on the stocks. All right, so now let's go touch on like SPY, okay? So if you look at the SPY in a daily chart, or maybe not a daily chart, or was it a 4-hour chart? Yeah, maybe it was a 4-hour. Yeah, if you look at the SPY in a 4-hour chart, right, we bounced up. This was kind of our first pullback in this move, like first really big pullback in the move, and I think this one's going to get bought up, and this is what's going to try to push us up, maybe back towards 271 to 278, maybe even back up towards, I think we're going to see the markets back up towards like 287, honestly. I think we'll see them up towards like the 290 marks, maybe even close to 300 again. But yeah, so I think we're going to be on an up move in the market for maybe the next couple week or so. I think the market will push up today after seeing its pre-market move. On a 5-day chart, we're in the buy cycle. So if this holds true, we should see this push up. Top of this cycle is going to be at 272. What do you know? The resistance I marked off ends up being the top of this channel, 274, 272. So maybe today, tomorrow, I think we're going to be having bull days on the market. So I think some of the main ones we're going to watch are going to be, again, AMD. AMD is set up in a formation that can totally squeeze out shorts. A lot of shorts and just sellers started jumping in on AMD the other day. We had a head and shoulders formation in the top of the channel that ended up not breaking down, held, bounced, pulled back, bounced, and now if we bounce again, this could fake them all out and go into a really explosive short squeeze out of that kind of move. So I think that's part of the reason why I'm so interested in something like AMD today. Given how it's traded past week, it's been able to attract a short case or shorters or just sellers that could very well lead to another good move. So we'll watch a lot of the semiconductors today. Okay. And then I'm also going to touch on Tops really fast. And then we'll go from there. So Tops was a stock Friday that had a good day. Today it's having another good day. In reality, well, I would say in reality, yeah, this is holding pretty good. It's kind of got a bullish pennant. It is a little high in the cycle. I think you might see this push up a little bit more, but yeah, if you weren't on it this day and you didn't buy down here today, then you're just really getting into high risk environment up here. So unless you were long from Friday down here, unless you were long from Friday here on this dip, unless you bought this morning pre-market here or here, and now you're considering buying it up here, you're entering yourself into a much higher risk trading environment, to the point where I would say to myself, I'll just let it go, or I don't really care if it goes higher. It's just too high risk. It doesn't make sense. So I think that Tops right now, with where it's at, I think you just let it go. If you want to trade, I think right now you had to be long down here in the 20-cent range to justify wanting to be long that. Now you're into the seller's location. So I'll pass on Tops. We haven't gone over Boeing, but I will take a look at Boeing here as well. I'm not, hold on. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to by the rumor, sell the news on what ticker or symbol that is. SPY. Yeah, oh yeah, excuse me. So yeah, a lot of people are kind of talking about bottoms, right? So a lot of people are talking about bottom in the market. Now, I agree. A bottom has been put on the market. There has been a bottom. So I'm going to give you guys kind of both scenarios here. I don't think we've bottomed. I really don't. There's a short-term bottom. Yes. Short-term, we have bottomed. I'm looking at everything from like the largest scale picture, and from the largest time frame, we're not at a bottom. To me, it doesn't. Well, that's what I'm saying. Let me show you. Let me just show you. Okay. So from a long-term chart on the S&P 500, all we really did was pull back to the regression level, a little bit below it. But ultimately, a great low-risk buy would be all the way down at like 1,800 on the S&P 500. Okay. But if we look at the Dow Jones, DJX already dropped down to the lowest portion of its channel. So in reality, the Dow Jones stocks were a great buy not too long ago down here on that level. Okay. Now the NASDAQ, when we look at the NASDAQ is held up really well. In reality, the NASDAQ is still in the sell cycle. You're still on the selling side of the channel in the NASDAQ. So we still have a lot of room, in theory, that this could and should come down. If we start to look at stocks, like let's see Tesla, right? If we go to Tesla squeezed way outside the channel. It already came back down into a regular trading zone, so you can argue that Tesla sort of bottomed, right? If you go and look at Nvidia is still way high in the sell cycle. In reality, this still has some room that it should come down. So I can see why, like look at DAL, right? Like Delta Airlines. Delta came all the way down well below its channel, and that became a great buy. Still arguably is a good buy, okay? So I can see where the case is for people arguing that stocks have bottomed. You'll see some articles from CNBC. You might see some articles, I don't know, New York Times or wherever, somewhere in the market. Market Watch. You're going to be seeing some articles around the lines that Morgan Stanley, this person, that person, this firm, that firm says that the market has bottomed or stocks have bottomed. Or many stocks have bottomed. And so, yes, that is the case. Looking at Tesla, looking at DAL, a lot of these stocks have made it to their long-term lower buying side of their channels, which therefore means people see them as a deal and they're going to keep buying them and they're probably going to go up or hold true, not decrease too much. So there is a case that, yes, a lot of the stocks in the S&P 500, just the overall stock market, have reached a bottom, whereas there is a lot of stocks that have not even come close to reaching a bottom, okay? And then you have the Dow Jones that in theory reached the bottom, the NASDAQ nowhere near the bottom, and the S&P 500 is right in the middle. So there's still room for two indices to really come down. The Dow is pretty much at the bottom, I would say, or close to, unless you have a really big shakeout. We could see it do something unexpected. So yes, I see the case for the bull side. But from a longer term picture, S&P 500 talk doesn't seem to be on a bottom for me. NASDAQ doesn't seem to be on a bottom for me. So I think there's some stocks that are good deals right now, but to claim that a bottom has been put in, maybe. What I would like to see is I would like to see one more. I would like to see like the S&P 500. I would like to see it roll over once again. I would like us to, we're doing what we should be doing. We made it back to the regression level we should be balancing, but ultimately I want to see it roll over one more time and do that down towards this trend line. And then that's where I would consider a bottom. If we did something like this, rolled over, came down to here, then I would say it's a bottom and I would be buying that bottom there. Okay. And so the number one thing, if you guys want my advice, the number one thing overall that I would be looking at for a market bottom scenario or to be buying the market bottom would be looking for a new low in the market accompanied by a bullish divergence. Will we get that? Hard to say. If the markets roll over and go into a new low, we're going to get it 100%. So it all really comes down to whether or not we can push the market into a new low. I would love to see the market go into a new low. My 401k will hate it, but I'd love it. But yeah, I would love to see it roll over, go into a new low for a better buying opportunity. Because if we do roll over, go into a new low, I can guarantee it. Literally, I'm saying guarantee it. I know for a fact, if we roll over again and go into a new low, there's like a 95% chance it's going to create a bullish divergence and it will be the bottom and it will be a better buy than what we're looking at now. And the reason I say I can guarantee it with so much certainty is because the rate that we declined on this drop in the market was so harsh, so fast, and so significant, it would be extremely hard for the markets to drop that hard and that significant again to that degree 2 times in a row. And if it can't do it 2 times in a row, the next new low will be on far significantly less momentum than the first drop, which creates a bullish divergence. So I just know from experience in doing this that to get another drop into a new low with a higher degree of momentum than that first drop we had, it's very hard to do. And which would then lead us into a bullish divergence. So that's what I'm looking at. That's what I want to see is a bullish divergence in a new low. And then I would be like, okay, buy the S&P 500 or, maybe consider buying stocks at a bigger chunk now. Okay. I would be watching the S&P. Like, if you want to justify a new short, I really like. I wouldn't even consider getting short until we're up at about 290 right now, right? So, like, if I'm gonna put money on the table short bias, it has to be up at about 290. That's where I'll get short, up into here. Because if this bounces all the way back up to 290, it's going to be the first attempt at breaking through, one standard. It will probably end up getting a retest here and then like a move down, right? So I think if you even want to be short bias anything, you can't really be comfortably or low risk environment short until you're shorting at like the 290 to 300 price point. Okay. The market will open in 35 minutes. Can you cover the divergence in physical gold spot price versus gold futures? Okay. So, what ticker symbol do you use for the the spot price is really just what it's going for physically, right? You know what? I don't know if I look at the same thing as you. So what ticker symbol are you using for your spot price? And then I'll go about answering that for you. Yeah, Apex. Yeah, if you remember specifically, a couple months ago, we argued that there was going to be a bull. Pretty much for the last 2.5 years, we've been more on the bear side of the market, and we've been on the bull side of gold and silver. Silver's done okay. I mean, if you look at silver and gold, they really have performed well, just like over like the past 1 year period. Silver recently got smoked. It will come back. Recently, it got smoked. So really silver didn't do that good from the full year spectrum. For a portion of the year it did really well. With the recent drop, you could argue that it's kind of screwed everything up. But yeah, we've been watching gold and silver for a bull run, anticipating that the end of our bull market was going to happen in equities, which it did happen. You can now see that the Federal Reserve is printing trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. So what they're really doing behind the scenes is they're just destroying the living shit out of your United States dollar. Your United States dollar, I don't actually know what it is now or how much it's actually worth, but for the sake of the video and just the sake of helping to get the point across, over the past 2 months, with the amount of money that our endless printing machine has been doing, if your dollar was actually worth $1 a month ago, it's probably worth 50 cents now with how much money we've been printing. I don't know for sure, but that's a good way to give you an understanding of what's actually happening to your dollar every single day, that we have the Federal Reserve printing money to save your economy and save the stock market and bail out banks and bail out businesses and bail out corporations and bail out the American people. That's what you're doing to the United States dollar. So we're printing the living shit out of money, and it's destroying the living shit out of the dollar, which inevitably will usually result in the gold price going up, especially if the United States dollar performs poorly. You already know for a fact, if you don't already by now, just know that in the future, we will live in a digital currency-based system. It's a fact. When I say fact, it's no one really knows but it's it's going to happen. Governments want it because it's easier to track you. So government's number one play right now is to make sure that in the new digital currency world, they get a foothold for tracking currency flow, tracking purchases. It will make it much harder for a black market to operate, selling drugs, running guns. Anything black market related right now will become much harder. So now criminals are going to have to become smarter in the future and find a way to mask digital currency purchases and transactions, which will happen, because that's just the way the system works, right? So once one thing happens, someone will figure out a solution to the problem. So governments want in on the digital currency world. It's going to help them track currency flow better. So we will go off a fiat currency system eventually. So knowing that we're probably going to go to a fiat currency, let me put it this way. If you knew the system was going to fail, like if you knew we were going to a digital currency world, then why in the hell wouldn't you just print shit tons of money? If it's going to fail anyways, you might as well just burn it to the ground while you're at it. That's kind of what I think's going on right now. We all know that the dollar will one day collapse through the excessive printing of money we've been doing and devaluing of the own United States dollar. So that's probably what's going to happen, is our dollar will eventually crash. Most other countries will no longer find the United States dollar as a reputable currency source, especially after they've seen what our government's been doing to it by printing it. They see that our government clearly is devaluing the value of the dollar. So why should other countries hold such a high degree to the United States dollar? They're going to stop using it. There's much talks of them already doing that. So I would say timeline, have no idea. But in the future, we will no longer have a United States paper dollar, and we will eventually move to a digital currency world. What exactly that looks like, it's hard to tell, but we're probably going there. So for me, I think right now a smart investment and play is going to be gold and silver, as it usually is in a time like this. Okay. Yeah, that's all we got for you guys today on Connor's pre-market talk show. Very nice. Yeah, we kind of get a little crazy sometimes. I apologize. Don't mean to be anybody like a conspiracy theorist here. I don't really consider myself a conspiracy theorist. It just so seems that most of the conspiracies are much more believable than what we're ever told. So, yeah, I know. Anyways, so we'll end it there. I think gold and silver, keep watching them. Again, like I said, I bought more gold on this big dip. I bought more silver on that big dip. So I'm just holding those. Those are one things that are hedging well against my equities portfolio right now. Keep an eye on Abbott stocks today, or Abbott, J&J. Didn't really see any penny stocks, but time will tell. All right. Oh, BA. You know, we'll finish with BA. I'll make this really quick. I'll give you my best professional advice here on BA quickly. Ooh. Okay, so if markets are moving bullish, right? So this is the thing. If markets move bullishly today, then you should look long biased on Boeing. Simple as that. If markets continue to move bullish today, I would first start with the bullish outlook on Boeing, more so than bearish. Right now, looks like by the time market opens, it's going to be opening. By the time market opens, it's going to be opening right on its trend. So you're not really on sale to the low side. You're not on the high side. You're starting off at a level that can be more fakey. You're not on sale. You're not oversold or not overbought. You're basically right where it should be coming near open. So I think you're going to just see, if markets just squeeze out, go bullish, I think you'll see a long move on BA. If they don't, I think you're just going to see BA kind of maybe move sideways for a second. We'll see. But whenever they open up on this level here, they can always be a little bit more tricky to judge which way they might move out of the gates. So right now, I'd be neutral at open for Boeing, but definitely watching the SPY to see if we continue moving bullish. If the markets move strong today, I think the same thing might happen on Boeing. We know people, and I will say this too, we know people are also shorting Boeing because of the bounce from 89 to 180. There was a 100-point bounce, so yeah, there is room for a pullback, so you are getting some selling and shorting involved there. But I still think ultimately you're going to see Boeing try to reverse a bit today if the markets move strong. Okay? All right, guys. Everybody take care. Have a great rest of your day. And after this, we'll put on the stream of the Trade Ideas scanners so that you guys can follow along with other stocks, get alerted on those scanners. All right, guys. Everybody take care. Have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you on the next one.